The Browns are re-signing the lefty hammer Corey Bojorquez. One of the better punters in football is back in Cleveland after a really good 2023 season on a 2-year contract. We don't know the dollar amount just yet, but we're talking about a punter here. It's not going to be a big contract given out to Bojorquez. But make no mistake, he was one of the best punters in football last season. He had one of his best personal seasons, if not the best season of his NFL career. We're going to look at some of his stats. This will be the first and only time we ever look at punter stats. He averaged 49.4 yards a boot. That was second best in his personal career. Net yardage, 3,600. That was the best in his NFL career. He also pinned it inside the 20-yard line 31 times, which was first in his NFL career. So, another addition for the Browns, or re-addition in this case here, in what's been a busy first few days of NFL free agency. We'll run through the tracker here to kind of refresh everyone's memories on all the moves Andrew Berry has made so far, and then we'll talk about another potential move, like a trade, for example, that could go down over the next few hours. But it all started with the Jerry Jeudy trade, which I think was a great move for Cleveland, only giving up a 5th and a 6th. Then they brought back Zadarius Smith and Maurice Hurst, two guys that I thought played extremely well last year to keep that 2023 defense intact. Jordan Hicks replaces Anthony Walker and somewhat Taki as well on a 2-year, $8 million deal. Still need to wait for the Browns to add another linebacker, whether that is in free agency or the draft. Then yesterday, everyone got up in arms over Jameis Winston signing a 1-year deal worth up to $8.7 million. Definitely feels like there was some lying going on when it comes to we want Joe Flacco back, because I don't know if you did, but I do like Jameis Winston, though, as a backup for this team. He's an awesome locker room guy. He's a player that's going to be invested and motivated to getting Deshaun Watson ready every single Sunday. And I think if his number does get called, he can obviously step in with loads of NFL experience and avoid the ship from sinking. Nyheim Hines is your running back signing. I wish the Browns were able to swing a little bit bigger at that position. Unfortunately, when you've got DeAndre Swift and Tony Pollard getting $8 million a year, the Browns are likely going to get priced out of some of those second and third tier backs. So Nyheim Hines, he rejoins Ken Dorsey from their time in Buffalo, now in Cleveland, and he can help on special teams. Michael Dunn is back. Akeem Adeniji is over from Minnesota. He's going to be maybe your new swing tackle or just some extra depth at the offensive line. And now we've got Shelby Harris rejoining the team, 2-year, $9 million contract. Jordan Elliott did sign with the San Francisco 49ers on a 2-year, $10 million deal. So I personally would rather have Maurice Hurst on a 1-year, $3-ish million. Shelby Harris making $4.5 million. Those two combined for around 7, say it's 7.5. And meanwhile, Jordan Elliott's getting $5 million a year, when I would say those 3 free agent defensive tackles, Harris and Hurst, were better than Jordan Elliott last year. So great picks by the Browns when it comes to bringing back 2 out of those 3 free agent DTs. And now, most recently, we have Corey Bojorquez. The lefty boot is back, and hopefully he can play all 17 games this year along with Dustin Hopkins, because those two made one of the best special teams duos we have really seen in some time in Cleveland. Now, what has been your favorite signing by the Browns so far? I think if we're going just value-wise, like pound for pound, dollar for dollar, I just can't get over the Maurice Hurst signing. I know we're talking about a rotational defensive tackle here, but be romantic with me when it comes to the trenches of football, because he was awesome. The locker room loved him. The belly celebration was elite. He was always making plays around the football. I love the Maurice Hurst signing. He was the cheapest of the 3 defensive tackles to get signed, and I might say he was the best of all 3 last year. So I'm really happy that Cleveland was able to find a way to bring him back. Now, if a trade does happen, you're going to want to be subscribed to the channel, because we know Andrew Berry, he's an aggressive GM. He's always lurking, and there is a very, very public rumor out there right now, which is a team out west, they're about to be having a fire sale. So make sure you are subscribed, because if a trade does go down over the next few hours, we'll probably be going live here on the channel, and I don't want you to miss a thing. Now, the Chargers are that team out west. They are $25 million over the salary cap. They have to be cap compliant by the start of the new league year, which is today, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, and I don't see a way they get that done by holding on to all 4 of these players here. Now, I don't think they're going to be making a move for a wide receiver after trading for Jerry Jeudy, but I think one of these two edge rushers might catch Andrew Berry's attention. And we'll talk about one of those two guys in more detail in just a second. But first, I do want to shout out our sponsor today, which is Prize Picks. The hoop season is coming to an absolute apex right now with March Madness right around the corner. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for the playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash, unless you are producer Tyler Smith. Prize Picks even offers injury insurance, so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured for basketball games. So let's say, for example, you have James Harden like I do in my selections. If he were to go down in the first half, this does not go to waste. They just simply remove James Harden and you roll with the other two. So here's my selections for the NBA games tonight. They've got James Harden at 3.14 points. I know he may not be what he once was, but I think he might be good for 4 or 5 buckets. So I'll take the more on that one. I also like the more on Jalen Suggs at 7.5 points. And then I'm going to fade Jamal Murray and go with the less at 21.5 points for him on the Nuggets. So if you like my selections, download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Once again, that's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. So the player that I think may catch the Browns' eye is Khalil Mack. I think Joey Bosa is likely to stay in LA. I feel like they're going to work really hard to hold on to him. I know he's been injured for the last few years, but he is a key piece of that locker room and of that defense, whereas Mack is a little bit older and maybe will come a little bit cheaper, and he also comes off a 17-sack season. Now, I understand that the salary cap is a very real thing, and as much as we may like to say it's a myth sometimes, there are certain moves that teams just can't quite pull off, even if they want to, because of the salary cap. However, if there's one GM that would, stick the bird over to the NFL salary cap, it would be Andrew Berry. If he has to restructure a contract or two to get a guy he wants, he's going to do that. And if he wants a pass rush with Myles Garrett, Khalil Mack, Zadarius Smith, and Obo Okoronkwo, because he feels like if we're going to go all in, let's not hold back at all. How could you not like this? I mean, Khalil Mack joining Myles Garrett I understand what they paid to Zadarius Smith, and this is likely a bit of a fan fiction, just pipeline dream here, but at the same time, they paid Okoronkwo last year in free agency, and then they still traded for Zadarius Smith. So I would not put any trade past Andrew Berry. I think we should I hope by now we've all learned that lesson of Andrew Berry and trades, they're always going to go hand in hand. So if he feels like there's a good deal to be had, and he doesn't want to wait till free agency because he may not feel like Khalil Mack would sign with the Browns in free agency, like he did with Amari Cooper, he may pull the trigger on a deal. And I don't think it would cost very much. Now, my guess is if a Khalil Mack trade did go down, similar to Zadarius Smith, there would be a reworking of a contract, right? More money up front, big signing bonus, low cap hit, whatever they have to do to make sure the books check out. The Browns are not going to let money hold them back from pulling off a deal. If they want a guy, they're going to go and get him, especially in trades, right? Free agency is kind of a different ball game because you may not simply be able to swing for a Christian Wilkins $110 million contract. But if it's giving up a day 3 pick for Khalil Mack and asking Jimmy Haslam to write a huge check on the spot for an immediate signing bonus to keep the salary cap hit low that year, that is something Andrew Berry can pull off, and he's got the green light to do. So keep an eye on some of these Chargers players either getting cut or traded over the next few hours. So would you trade for Khalil Mack? Yes or no? Give me your opinion down below in the comment section. Do you want to see the Browns pursue the one-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year? Now, I do want to run through the top 25 free agents available. Potentially by the time you're watching this, some of these guys will have already been signed, but I just want to put them on your radar. On your radar. I don't expect the Browns to be making any of the big signings in free agency for a Chase Young or an Eric Armstead, right? We can go through 6 through 10. DJ Reader has been very captivating for Browns fans, although I feel like the Mo Hurst and the Shelby Harris signings is a big sign of the Browns being happy at defensive tackle. Devin White would be an option, we'll put it that way, at outside linebacker next to Jordan Hicks. I'm not super high on Devin White. However, if the Browns feel like there's not a good linebacker for them in this draft class and they don't want to turn it over to Tony Fields and Devin White lowers his asking price because he's still on the market, that could be a name to keep an eye on. I don't see any offensive linemen come into Cleveland or DBs really for that matter. Sheldon Rankins could be a cheaper DJ Reader option. And once again, if the Browns feel like they're not satisfied at defensive tackle, Jerome Baker, he was falsely reported to be signing with the Browns by Sports Illustrated. He's actually meeting with the Tennessee Titans, so I pumped the brakes on that homecoming for Jerome Baker, but that could be an option at linebacker as well. So that's going to do it for us on this morning's edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Expect to have another video in a few hours, whether the Browns make a signing or not. We'll at least keep you guys updated on all the news and rumors surrounding your Cleveland Browns. Now we have Tyler Smith dragged out of bed early this Wednesday morning. Smitty, with bags under your eyes, what card do you want to go with?
Oh, listen, I mean, with the amount of Browns Report content that I've been helping out with this week, I'm bound to get it eventually. Give me the King of Spades.
King of Spades? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the 6 of Hearts.
Show me something.
7 of Clubs.
Oh, I was
of
going to go
Clubs.
7 at first, but I was going to say diamonds if I said 7.
All right, friends, we will catch up later. Go Brownies.